like the sports. I've been known to watch the baseballs sometimes, and I've noticed that when a batter goes up against a pitcher, the guys that do the talking are able to tell you all kinds of facts and figures and statistics about how things might turn out. They know how many times the guy usually hits the ball, and they know how many times the guy usually can throw the ball past the guy that's supposed to hit the ball. And they can also tell you about how many times it changes if it's a right-handed pitcher or a left-handed pitcher, a right-handed batter, left-handed batter. They have all kinds of statistics that they can throw out. And I bet when you watch the baseballs, you also have an idea of who is probably going to win. But sometimes they don't win, do they? Sometimes the other team wins. And sometimes even though the guy that's throwing the ball is supposed to be able to get it past the guy that's supposed to hit the ball, the guy hits the ball. And he hits it really hard. And it goes all the way out and he gets a home run. But sometimes he strikes out, doesn't he? That's because we don't know for sure. But we have all kinds of facts and statistics and figures that we look at to figure out who's supposed to win the game. But sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And that's why we keep watching, isn't it? Friends, do you see where I'm going with this? The same is true with meteorology. And sometimes people are real meteorologists. They really went to school for it, and they really know what they're doing, and they're doing their job the best that they can. They are trying to keep you safe. They're not trying to make money for the grocery store. They're not trying to, well, maybe they are trying to get ratings for their station sometimes, because after all, it is a business. That's what they do. But friends, I don't think that there's a vast conspiracy of meteorologists. Here's the thing. It's pretty amazing that we are able to know that it might snow, or it might be a thunderstorm, a tornado, 3-4 days in advance, sometimes a week in advance. The fact that we are able to even have an idea of what the weather might be like is pretty amazing. And that's one of the things that I enjoy about being your premier social meteorologist, is in the year that I've been playing weatherman, pretending to be a weatherman, I've actually spent a lot of time learning and studying about the weather, and it's fascinating. And there's a lot of interesting science out there about this. Imagine that. People can devote their entire career to this. But sometimes things don't turn out the way that they might. That's why it's a forecast. That's why there are percentages. The difference in this storm is that a low pressure system that was predicted days before it formed tracked a few miles further north than it was supposed to, and it brought in some warm air than it was originally thought that it might, and that meant that it began to snow here in Cape and Jackson a little bit later than it was originally thought that it might. A few hours later. Remember how we got about an inch of rain on Sunday morning? Now, what if that low pressure hadn't tracked to the north? What if it had stayed in its original path, and all of that inch of rain would have fallen as snow instead of sleet? Then we'd be telling a different story, wouldn't we? The fact is, the point of my story here, as your loyal social meteorologist, is give the real meteorologists a break. They're doing their job. They're doing the best that they can. And they got pretty close with this one. Did you see the pictures from St. Louis? That's where the heaviest snow was always supposed to be. Just because you didn't get as much snow down here in Cape and Jackson and in the Boot Heel as it was predicted that you might, is no reason to dump on an entire profession. Ladies and gentlemen, we can be nicer than that, can't we? Of course we can. Now everybody wants to know about Wednesday, don't they? Everybody's suddenly interested in Wednesday and Thursday, but I thought the weatherman didn't know what they were talking about. Probably not going to do anything after. Just keep the milk that you bought the other day, and if it does anything on Wednesday or Thursday, you'll be set, won't you? Won't you? Don't go and raid the bread aisle again. Did the weatherman ever tell you to do that? Did the weatherman ever turn you into raging animals descending on the Walmart in a Black Friday induced rage? I don't think so. Let's all just take a deep breath and move on with our lives, shall we? I'm social meteorologist Bob Clubbs, watching the weather so you don't have to.